And there we go. Now we're live. Now I feel better. Now I have to send that out again. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we go. I'm back. I'm back. Back again. Guess who's back? YouTube, tell a friend. Here we go. All right. So we're live on YouTube. If you're hopping on live, say hello. If you got kicked off, I am so sorry. Okay. Hello, everybody who is on Facebook. I'm so sorry. Got sidetracked. Okay. So we're going to read 47. And I'm hoping that these chimes dissipate because they're going to drive me nuts today. If anybody knows how to turn off the notifications on a laptop, please let me know. It's Sarah! Hi, Sarah! How are you, gorgeous? Yay, Sarah's on. Hello, hello. I'm so excited to see your beautiful face this morning. I get to message you when I'm done, and it's going to be awesome. Hey, can we behave this morning? As you're hopping on live, please say hi. I want to give you a big virtual hug and say hello to you. So let's read chapter 47, and we're going to go right into it. And boys, no. Okay. You're just going to have to listen to my boys growl this morning, and I apologize because they're just not being behaved this morning. Oh my goodness. Wowzers. Can you lay down, please, sir? Lay down, please, sir. Lay down. Thank you. Joseph went to Pharaoh and told him, my father and brothers with their flocks and herds and everything they have come from Canaan. Right now, they are in Goshen. He had taken 5 of his brothers with him and introduced them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked, what are you doing? Pharaoh asked them, what kind of work do you do? Your servants are shepherds, the same as our fathers were. They have come from this country to find a new place to live. There is no pasture for our flocks in Canaan. The famine has been very bad there. Please, would you let our servants settle in the region of Goshen? Pharaoh looked at Joseph. So your father and brothers have arrived, a reunion? Egypt welcomes them. Settle your father and brothers on the choicest land. Yes, give them Goshen. And if you know any among them, they are especially good at their work. Put them in charge of my own livestock. Next, Joseph brought his father Jacob in and introduced him to Pharaoh. Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Jacob, how old are you? Jacob answered Pharaoh, the years of my sojourning are 130, a short and hard life, and not nearly as long as my ancestors were given. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and left. Joseph settled his father and brothers in Egypt and made them proud owners of choice land. He was the region of Ramses, that is Goshen, just as Pharaoh had ordered. Joseph took good care of them, his fathers and brothers, and all his father's family, right down to the smallest baby. He made sure they had plenty of everything. The time eventually came when there was no food anywhere. The famine was very bad, and Egypt and Canaan alike were devastated by the famine. Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan to pay for the distribution of food. He banked the money in Pharaoh's place. When the money came from Egypt, the Canaan had run out. The Egyptians came to Joseph, food, give us food. Are you going to watch us die right in front of you? The money is all gone, Joseph said. Bring your livestock. I'll trade you food for livestock since your money has run out. So they brought Joseph their livestock. He had traded them food for their horses, sheep, cattle, and donkeys. He got them through the year in exchange for all their livestock. When the year was over, the next year rolled around and they were back, saying, Master, it's no secret that we're broke. Our money is gone and we've traded you all our livestock. We've nothing left to barter with you. And our land, if we stand here and starve to death right now in front of you, trade us food for our bodies and our land. We'll be slaves to Pharaoh and give up our land. All we ask is seed for survival, just enough to live on and keep the farms alive. So Joseph bought up all the farms in Egypt for Pharaoh. Every Egyptian sold his land. The famine was that bad. That's how Pharaoh ended up owning all the land, and the people ended up slaves. Joseph reduced the people to slavery from one end of Egypt to the other. Joseph made an exception for the priests. He didn't buy their land because they received a fixed salary from Pharaoh and were able to live off that salary. So they didn't need to sell their land. Joseph then announced to the people, here's how things stand. I've bought you and your land for Pharaoh. In exchange, I'm giving you seed so you can plant the ground. When the crops are harvested, you must give a fifth to Pharaoh and keep four-fifths for yourselves. For seed for yourselves and your family, you're going to be able to feed your children. They said, you've saved our lives, Master. We're grateful and glad to be slaves in Pharaoh. That's okay, Sarah. I completely understand. Joseph decreased a land in Egypt that is still in effect. A fifth goes to Pharaoh. Only priests' lands were not owned by Pharaoh. So Israel settled down in Egypt in the region Goshen. They acquired the property and flourished. Oh, excuse me. They became a large company of people. Jacob lived in Egypt for 17 years. In all, he lived 147 years. When the time came for Israel to die, he called his son Joseph and said, do me this favor. Put your hand under my thigh. A sign that you're loyal and true to me to the end. Don't bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me alongside of them. I will, he said. I'll do what you've asked. Israel said, promise me, Joseph. Joseph promised. Israel bowed his head in submission and gratitude from his bed. 48. Sometime after this conversation, Joseph was told, your father is ill. He took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and went to Jacob. When Jacob was told, your son Joseph has come, he arose himself and sat up in bed. Jacob said to Joseph, the strong God appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said, I'm going to make you prosperous and numerous, turn you into a congregation of tribes, and I'll turn this land over to your children coming after you in the permanent inheritance. I'm adopting your two sons who were born to you here in Egypt. Before I joined you, they have equal status with Reuben and Simon, but any children born after them are yours. They will come after their brothers in matter of inheritance. I want it this way because I was returning from Patan, your mother Rachel. In my deep sorrow died and were on your way through Canaan when you were only a short distance from Ephrathis, now called Bethlehem. Just then, Jacob noticed Joseph's sons and said, "Who are these?" Joseph told his father, "These are my sons whom God gave me in this place." "Bring them to me," he said, "so I can bless them." Israel's eyesight was poor from old age. He was nearly blind. So Joseph brought them up close. Old Israel kissed and embraced them and said to Joseph, "I never expected to see your face again, and now God has let me see your children as well." Joseph took them from Israel's knees and bowed respectively, his face to the ground. Joseph took the boys, Ephraim with his right hand, settling him into Israel's left, and Meshach his left hand, settling him into Israel's right, and stood them right before him. But Israel crossed his arms and put his hand right on the head of Ephraim, who is the younger, and his left hand on the head of Mesna, the firstborn. He blessed them. "The God before whom walked my fathers Abraham and Isaac, the God who has been my shepherd all my life long to this very day, the angel who delivered me from every evil, bless the boys. May my name be etched in their lives, in the names of Abraham and Isaac, my fathers, and may they grow, covering the earth with their children." When Joseph saw that his father had placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, he thought he had made a mistake. So he took hold of his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Messiah's, saying, That's the wrong head, father. The other one is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head." But his father wouldn't do it. He said, "I know, my son, but I know what I'm doing. He also will develop into people. He also will be great. His younger brother will be even greater, and his descendants will enrich the nations." He blessed them both. "Israel will use your names to give blessings. May God make you Ephraim and Messiah." He made it explicit. He put Ephraim's ahead of Manasseh. Israel then said to Joseph, "I'm about to die. God be with you and give you safe passage back to the land of your fathers. As for me, I'm presenting you at the first among your brothers, the ridge of the land I took from Emirates with the sword and bow." 49. Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather round. I want to tell you what you can expect in the days to come. Come together. Listen, sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you're my firstborn, my strength, first proof of my manhood. At the top is honor, and at the top is honor and power. But like a bucket of water spilled, you'll be at the top no more, because you climbed into your father's marriage bed, mounting that couch, and you defiled it. Simon and Levi are two of a kind, ready to flight at the drop of a hat. I don't want anything to do with their vendettas. Want no part in their bitter feuds. They kill men in fits of temper, slash oxen on a whim, a curse on their uncontrolled anger and their indiscriminate wrath. I'll throw them out with the trash. I'll shred and scatter them like confetti throughout Israel. You, Judah, your brothers will praise you, your fingers on your enemy's throat, while your brothers honor you. You're a lion's cub, Judah, home fresh from the kill, my son. Look at him, crutched like a lion, king of the beast, who dares mess with him. A scepter shall not leave Judah. He'll keep a firm grip on the command staff until the ultimate ruler comes and the nations obey him. He'll tie up his donkey to a grapevine, his purebred prize to a sturdy branch. He will wash his shirt in wine and his cloak in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun settles down on the seashore. He's a safe harbor for ships, right alongside of Sidon. Ishnar is one tough donkey, crouching between the corals when he saw how good the place was, how pleasant the country. He gave up his freedoms and went to work as a slave. Dan will handle matters of justice for his people. He will hold down just fine among the tribes of Israel. Dan is only a small snake in the grass, a lethal serpent in ambush by the road. When he strikes a horse in the heel and brings its huge rider crashing down, I wait in hope for your salvation, God. Gad will be attacked by bandits, but he will trip them up. Asher will become famous for rich foods, candies, and sweets fit for kings. Naphtali is a deer running free that gives birth to lovely fawns. Joseph is a wild donkey by a spring. Spirited donkeys on a hill. Archers with malice attacked, shooting their hate-tipped arrows. But he held steady under fire, his bow firm, his arms limber. With the backing of a champion of Jacob, the shepherd and the rock of Israel. God your Father, may he help you, and may the strong God, may he give to you his blessings tumbling out of the skies, blessings bursting from the earth, blessings of breast and womb, and blessings of your Father, exceeding the blessings of ancient mountains, surpass the delights of the eternal hills. May the rest of the head of Joseph and the brow of the one concentrated among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. All morning he gorges on his kill, and evening divides up what's left over. Sounds good, Sarah. All of these are the tribes of Israel, 12 tribes, and this is what their father said to them as he blessed them and blessed each with his own special farewell blessing. Then he instructed them, I am about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in a cave which is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, the cave in the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, in the land of Canaan, the field of Abraham, brought from Ephron the Hittite for the burial plot. Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried there. Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried there. I also buried Leah there. The field and the cave were brought from the Hittites. Jacob finished the instructions his sons, pulled his feet into bed, breathed his last breath, and was gathered to his people. 50. Joseph threw himself on his father, wept over him, and kissed him. Joseph then instructed the physicians in his employ to embalm his father. The physicians embalmed Israel. The embalming took 40 days, and the period required for embalming. There was public mourning by the Egyptians for 70 days. Then the period of mourning was complete. Joseph petitioned Pharaoh's court. If you have a reason to think kindly of me, present Pharaoh with my request. My father made me swear, saying, I am ready to die. Bury me in the grave plot I have prepared for myself in the land of Canaan. Please give me leave to go up and bury my father, and then I'll come back. Pharaoh said, certainly, go and bury your father, and as he made you promise under oath. So Joseph left to bury his father, and all the high rank officials from Pharaoh's court went with him. All the dignities of Egypt, joining Joseph's family, his brothers, and his father's family, their children, and the flocks and herds were left in Goshen. Chariots and horsemen accompanied them. It was a huge funeral procession. Arriving at the Atad threshing floor, just across the Jordan River, they stopped for a period of mourning, letting their grief out in loud lament. For 7 days, Joseph engaged in these funeral recites for his father. And then the Canaanites who lived in that area saw the grief being poured out at the threshing floor. They said, "Look how deeply the Egyptians are mourning." That is how the site at the Jordan got the name Abel Mizraim, Egyptian lament. Jacob's sons continued to carry out his instructions to the letter. They took him to Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of the Manok, facing Mamre. The field of Abraham had brought a burial plot from the Ephron the Hittite. After burying his father, Joseph went back to Egypt. All his brothers who had come with him to bury his father returned with him. After the funeral, Joseph's brothers talked among themselves. What if Joseph is carrying a grudge and decides to pay us back for all the wrong we did him? So they sent Joseph a message. Before his death, your father gave this command: tell Joseph, forgive your brother's sins and all the wrongdoing. They did treat you very badly. Will you do it? Do to it. Will you forgive the sins of the servants of your father's God? When Joseph received that message, he wept. Then the brothers went in person to him, threw themselves on the ground before him, and said, "We'll be your slaves." Joseph replied, "Don't be afraid. Do I act for God? Don't you see? You planned evil against me, but God used those same plans for my good. And you see all around you, as you see all around you right now, life for many people. Easy now, you have nothing to fear. I'll take care of you and your children." He reassured them, speaking with him heart to heart. Joseph continued to live in Egypt with his father's families. Joseph lived 110 years. He lived to see Ephron's sons into the third generation. The son of Malchari, Meson's son, were recognized as Joseph's. And at the end, Joseph said to his brother, "I am ready to die. God will most certainly pay you a visit and take you out of the land and back to the land he solemnly promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And then Joseph made the sons of Israel promise under oath, "When God makes his visitation, make sure you take my bones with you as you leave here." Joseph died at the age of 110 years. They embalmed him and placed him in a coffin in Egypt. All right. And that's the end of Genesis. Tomorrow, we start chapter 1 in Exodus. And I love this version. I've never truly read the entire Message version of the Bible. And I love that it just tells the story in such a raw and beautiful way. And so we'll continue with that this year. And so we're going to be reading we're going to be reading chapter 1 in Exodus tomorrow. Facebook, you may have a special guest reading to you tomorrow. YouTube, you will have me. And so this month is a different month. And so please give me grace as I am navigating this month. I have a lot of appointments and meetings and trainings and things preparing our family for our future. And so as I'm learning what that looks like and pivoting and moving, we're going to try to keep the schedule of 8 a.m. Eastern time here on Facebook and YouTube. And I may have to pre-record or make these live. So if I don't interact with you as much, know that I love you and I see you and I hear you. And I will get back to your comments and your chats as quickly as possible. This is ever evolving, and I've got to follow God's lead in all of this as he's continuing to bless my family and in this journey that we're on. So I love you all, many blessings, and I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.